All right. Welcome in. It is a Thursday evening here for Views from the Stands, and it is just a two-man show tonight. We got the GM, Mr. G Mike. How are you doing, my friend? It is good to see you.
Feeling good, baby. Would be feeling better, man. This NBA trade deadline got me a little bit disappointed, but hey, man, we living, and we breathing, and we're blessed with life.
As a Miami Heat fan, you got to get kind of used to swinging and missing sometimes,
yeah.
my friend. I know all about that as a Mavs fan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, we have a big show for you tonight, man. Obviously, we got that big Super Bowl coming up this weekend, and we also had some major stuff going on today as the NBA trade deadline came to a close. We'll go over some of the bigger trades, who stayed, who didn't get traded, who didn't move anywhere, and we also have a very special guest tonight that's going to be talking some injuries and get to be talking some amazing sports information for us. So I'm really excited to have Dr. Tommy Rhee come on the show. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Mr. G Mike, you got anything you want to tell anybody about, promote anything real quick before we bring our special guest on for tonight?
Yeah, man, I want to give a shout out to PodMatch. Have been hooking us up with bringing on amazing guests from different types of realms of podcasting. I mean, we've been talking about horror movies on here, about different other sports, about medicine. Last episode, we learned a lot about the brain and fitness put together. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff that PodMatch does for us and connecting us with other different podcasts. If you guys are looking for, bringing on guests for your podcast, check out PodMatch, man. They really hook it up and it's awesome.
Absolutely. That's where we met our special guest for tonight. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the special guest for the evening.
Special guest Views from the Stands.
All right, welcome to the show, Mr. Dr. Tommy Rhee. How are you doing, my friend? It is an honor to have you on the show. I've been really looking forward to this.
Oh, and thank you very much, man. I'm excited about this one. Let's do this.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, we like to give you a chance to give yourself a little bit of a humble brag and tell a bit everybody about yourself and what you have got going on.
Okay, sports chiropractor. Started off at UCLA with all the athletic departments and the teams and worked my way into the pro arena, if it's the Olympics, sporting and all that stuff, in tennis and other WWE adventure. From LA, went to Tampa. Now I'm working with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as their team chiropractor and working on advanced therapy with their special type of injuries. So from there, I moved into the world of like my own practice and regenerative medicine. Just understanding it's all about recovering from either a workout or an injury. It's about speeding that up to get them back on the field.
Yeah, that's a hell of a lot of stuff to get through right there. That's impressive as hell.
Amazing resume already.
Talking sports.
I love it.
Yeah, so we also want to have you come on as
excited.
well and talk some really good stuff because like you're talking about injury and recovery, and there's all kinds of injury and recovery going on. We got the Super Bowl coming up, but there's one I wanted to ask you. You mentioned the Olympics, and there's one I wanted to ask you about and what we can even expect. Obviously, Lindsey Vonn is going through her final Olympics. Had that big crash in the final run she had, and kind of messed up her knee really bad. What can we expect, do you think, in your opinion, what's her body going through and how can she recover? And does she actually have enough time to recuperate after this?
So when you think about the knee, right, there's some structures we all hear about, like the ACL and the meniscus. We hear these terminology and there's anatomy parts. So if you look at the knee, there's only really like 4 big ligaments in there. There's the ACL, PCL, and then these little side things called the cruciate ligaments. So those are the 4 big ligaments. Now, believe it or not, there's some athletes that don't have that ACL and they still play soccer. They're out there playing sports. So if you understand about the muscle tone, which she has great muscle, they've got great supporting tissue that's around that knee. So if she compromised her ACL or some ligament in there and she's at that last, like that push to, be in that vent, she can do it. She just needed proper bracing and knowing that just engage that muscle to replicate that ligaments, the ligament is basically the bone-on-bone connection. So we also have that muscle-to-bone connection, and that represents the lack of that ligament. So because of her strength around her knee, she can do these obstacles and these events. It's just that you have to brace it on top of that strong muscle she has around the knee. So I think she's going to do fine. She just has to understand that afterwards, she's going to have to do a lot of recovery from this. But you know how it is. When you're in the Olympic, it's go time. You got to go. So.
Yeah, exactly. Especially at her age and everything like that too. She's young for the normal human life, but for an athlete and competing at that level, that's been really, really difficult going through with that. So yeah, you mentioned as well, you went to you worked for UCLA, or did you go to UCLA?
I worked there.
Worked there, man. That's pretty amazing. Did you get a chance to work with any all the high class athletes over there, or that's really impressive?
Yeah, let me tell you something. Right out of school, I'm working with these All-American, all McDonald's athletes from the basketball world, like Kevin Love, Westbrook. Remember those guys back at UCLA?
Heard
Then
of
I'm
them?
in the football world. Then I'm in the track world. These kids are like, they're so good that they can be eligible. They can qualify for the Olympic team. So it's kind of fun having that type of athlete at the beginning stage of their career, because you can see how they develop, how they listen to their body, and how they go through the learning process. Because everybody's going to make mistakes. Everybody's going to get injured, but you have to understand how to recover from that. So I saw that, and I really aid them along as they're recovering, or they're trying to prevent that type of injury to go further.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's impressive as well to be able to deal with Love and Westbrook and all those. Westbrook was always just known as such an amazing athlete and had the bounce and everything like that. What kind of you got any kind of wild Westbrook stories or anything?
No, I don't. What do they say? Don't kiss and tell, right? As far you think about it, they're right out of high school, right? So you're looking at someone that's kind of like a junior senior mentality, and they're in that collegiate world, and they're just really one step away from the NBA, right? So you have to do that 1 year in the NCAAs.
Yeah.
So you know where they're going to go, and they have a good head on their shoulders. They know the kind of protocols that go through, and they know their job. They're enjoying themselves, and it's just a stepping stone for their career.
I wanted to ask you because, we really come a long way. You say you worked with Westbrook and Kevin Love. They were in college, I would say, more than almost like 10 years ago. So the scientific technology that comes behind of recuperating for these athletes back then to how it was now, can you give a good description on how different it is for athletes nowadays and why they recover so quickly now when it comes to an ACL, an MCL, or Achilles injury than it was back in?
So the odd thing about colleges is their structure. So their structure is more of a multi-level approval system. So when you hear about these alternative type of therapies like stem cell therapy or something unique, you won't see that in the college world, because that's really like an experimental or alternative medicine. When you hear about those things, it's the professional world. They are into getting themselves back with any means possible. If it's regenerative medicine, stem cell therapy, hyperbaric chamber, anything that speeds up that process to heal, get them back on the field. Those pro athletes understand, and the team understands to get them back on the field. So it's a business, right? You want to get them on the field. But in the college world, it's different. You still have that element of approval and that safety mechanism, because sometimes these therapies are counterproductive. So you got to know that the providers you're working with understands that type of advanced equipment. And then they have to figure out if the athlete understands how to go through this process, be diligent with this thing. So with college athletes and their kind of like their sports medicine world, it's very conservative. It's not aggressive. You'll see things like maybe some advanced equipment like a laser, like a class 4 laser, or maybe like a Topical device, which is like almost it's a special kind of like an E-stem that utilizes like a diathermy kind of like mode. Anyways, it heats up your body inside instead of you delivering it through a device. So there's all kinds of like machines out there that are on the collegiate level. But when you go to the super advanced stuff, the one that sounds like, wait, they should be doing this, the college is not going to do that, because you've got the medical world, you've got parents that are overseeing this whole thing. So they want to make sure that they do the most conservative approach when it comes to their therapy. So when you hear athletes in the college world, you're always thinking about, why are they not recovering fast like these NFL guys? Well, they don't have the ability to do that advanced stuff unless they're going outside of the team, outside the school, and doing it on their own with their parents' aid.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Because I want to ask you as well, because I kind of alluding to what George was just asking about. You brought up stem cell as well, and do you think that's going to ever be more of a popular thing over here? Because I know in Europe and a lot of other places, I believe Kobe did it, and a couple of the guys have gone overseas and gotten stem cell stuff, and they seem like they've just recovered a lot faster. I know that like kind of a trickier question, but you think that's going to be coming this side anytime soon, or that's going to be more of still sticking in Europe?
Okay, so it depends how they do the procedure there. Like here, it's done. It's done on an experimental or a type of clinical trial world. So when you do the stem cell injections, it's still utilized in that realm of experimental, but it does work. The interesting thing is that what is it doing? That's what people don't understand. They think that these cells, right, these live cells that people quote, like I've got 10 million live cells in our body. Well, it's not so much live cells. You don't want the live cells with the DNA nucleus and this chromosome because it's going to turn into something. Let's say it doesn't turn into what you want to fix. Let's say you have a tendon tear and you really have the DNA for a heart. It may turn into a heart down there. Now you're going into the tumor formation. So you have to be cautious with that. So that's why you want to take the next step down, which is the signal, the information that gives you the ability to have that existing tissue to turn on. You know, our tissue is sitting there dormant, waiting for some signal, some information to do something. And if the signal is weak because of trauma or aging, well, we're not going to get that signal to do our job. So you introduce it with that signals from those stem cells, and that's what's really producing the actual regenerative component of it.
Nice. I mean, you touched on it a little bit with the stem cell therapy, but I want to bring up your book here and promote it a little bit for you. The Future of Regenerative Medicine, Unlocking the Potential of Topical Stem Cell Therapy. Now, again, you touched on it a little bit, but I want you to explain to the folks watching at home what exactly the whole book entitles and what inspired you to write it.
Okay, so the book is, believe it or not, I wrote it because I don't like to write books, but I had to do it. I mean, it's out of necessity, right? I get questions about, hey, what are stem cells? What about this stem cell? What about that stem? Why is it better to take this and that? So there are a lot of questions that I kept on answering over and over again. I said, hey, let me write a book, and then just give them the book. Here you go, take the book, and then you'll learn about it without me repeating these kind of like these answers. Yeah. So that's why I wrote the book, and it helps you along because when I have other people, especially in the sports med world, that kind of knows what stem cell is, they all know that stem cell is the latest and greatest, but they don't really know the mechanism. They don't understand about this thing called the paracrine effect, the cell-to-cell signaling. They don't understand about the information and how the cell that you're getting from a donor site is going to mutate and turn into your cell exactly. It's not going to do that. So that's what the book goes into. And the neat thing about the book, they have the science side of it and the layman side of it, so you could understand it and be like summarizing the information that's coming from the technical side of it. So that's what's cool about that. But going back to about, like stem cell and, the world of topical, where the future is going. So, because I'm working with NFL players and, knowing what they have to go through, it's all about recovery. So we all know that after the season, they all kind of let their body go, relax, and rejuvenate or regenerate their tissue in all aspects of resting, getting their diets back to normal, working out properly, and then go into stem cell therapy. Well, stem cell therapy has its downfalls. When you do an injection, the stem cell therapy is injectables, right? So when you do an injection, there's downtime. So you are going into an area where it's damaged, and you have to do another secondary injury site. So not only do you have, let's say, an ACL, well, you have to inject it again. So now you got primary, secondary injury site. Now you got to recover from that, so you need downtime. That's why you don't hear about stem cell therapy during the season. It's always like after the season, or if they're really down and they're in the IR for a long period of time, they can have that time to recover. So I had this quarterback that was going, getting out of the summer world and getting ready for the camp. Well, he was dealing with an ACL, Achilles tendonitis. That was pretty bad. There's grades 1, 2, and 3. He was at grade 3. That's right before it ruptured. So you know how these guys are getting bigger, faster, and the field's turf, and it's harder. And the first thing that goes out is typically the Achilles tendon or the knee, right? So those two things, because it's just a faster person and the ground's tougher. So something has to give. So because of that, he was experiencing both left and right Achilles tendonitis at grade 3. He's worried about that. And the worst thing about that is that he's on his last year contract. So you never want to go as an athlete in this pro world to go with an injury, because when you negotiate your contract or you want to, go on the market, you don't want that on your marketable self, like saying, hey, you're prone to this injury. You were into that.
You're almost damaged goods.
You damaged goods. Yeah. So he was concerned about that and staying on the field so he can represent his worth and, contracts. It's not really a guaranteed. It's based on bonuses and being on the field per minutes and all that stuff. Yeah. So because of that, he couldn't do the injections. So then, we talked about the topical side of it, and I developed it before we were talking. So then I said, hey, help me finish this off. He was my R&D on site, on field. So it was the greatest experience because I would give him the topical and then he would tell me, hey, it's too hot, too cold, too this, too that. And he helped me formulate it. But during that time, camp all the way through the season, the Achilles tendonitis went down. He was able to play the whole season without addressing it in the training room or identifying it. And more importantly, he got his contract to where he wanted to go. So it was a great, great outcome. And the neat thing about that is that if you get a high performing athlete in that world, I can bring it down to like everyday person, weekend warrior, and apply it to them. And then I'm looking at, these guys with arthritis or overuse injury and say, hey, this stem cell is same as the injectable, except for now it's topical because I have a transdermal agent that goes through the skin and then penetrate and get to that deep tissue to regenerate and signal those tissues to grow. So that's what's cool about that stuff.
Yeah, that's really impressive. And I've heard of a lot of people mentioning about the regenerative medicine, and it's basically kind of like the alternative to having to go through major surgeries. Do you think that this is going to be like the next wave of the future and getting less surgery? Because I mean, that'd be less downtime. Athletes and just the regular everyday, like you referred to as the weekend warriors. Do you think this is the future? Yeah,
think about it. So sometimes because we don't recover correctly and we go into the season, well, we have to go. So we can be at 9% and the tissue may be compromised a little bit. And then you go and you take that one hit that usually doesn't affect you, but now you got it, right? You got that kind of like the ACL compromise. And then all of a sudden that becomes a strain or sprain and all of a sudden turns into a tear. So if you can do the preventive stuff. So where I see the future is that regenerative medicine is a preventative. Like you do the topical during the season, you do this, this type of procedure before, during, and then maybe after. But the thing is that you can do it in the preventive instead of so much as the aftermath of like recovering of a damaged tissue. You want to grow that tissue back to 100% at all time, in all frames.
Yeah, I was looking over your bio as well. I have to give you a shout out as well. You were served in the Navy, is correct?
Yes.
Absolutely. I was
Thank
Coast
you for
Guard,
your service. Thank you for your service.
I was Coast Guard, so I can agree with you on there a little bit here, but I went the right direction, I think, But having said that,
hey,
so how did you go from like going from till you were doing aviation, I guess, in the Navy, and then going to where you are now? Correct?
Let me tell you, man, I was a typical kid, rambunctious, athletic, but had a bad attitude, So I knew where I was going. I was going bad. So the military kind of straightened me out. So I had to go in that path. And luckily I was smart enough to take any job, and it fell into the line of aviation, and it got me into flight. I got my wings. I flew in the back of a jet, had the best time of my life. And during that process, it taught me how to become like a acceptable person, be more understanding of how to become like a human being in society instead of like a wild, how we are in the kids. I think all athletes, we had that in us. If we didn't play sports, I don't know what kind of trouble I get more into, right?
I was 19 and had nothing else going on as well, so I know exactly what you're talking about. It wisened you up.
Yeah. So, and then, flying, I mean, everything that the military put me through, you can probably identify this, is there's just little victories. You just take a little bite at a time, and you can, if you just follow their footprints, it's easy. It's so simple. So then knowing that, graduating from that world of the military and, doing my kind of like tasking, I went to college and I applied that, and it was so simple. Just stick anything in that formula and then just work. And then it taught you how to just keep moving forward. So, the neat thing about this whole adventure of being around athletes is I always enjoy the outcome that I get from this. It's not so much me, it's about the athlete enjoying what I've done. And, it's a biofeedback right away. We're saying, hey, what I've done is that they outperform their ability and they're at 100%. So that's what's neat about all this thing, from the military to where I'm at. There's that kind of like that movement that I just stuck in the military's pattern and put it in there.
Yeah, no, you literally were changing lives before and now.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that he was changing lives before and now still. I mean, he helped that quarterback get a fat contract, and maybe if it wasn't for his medicine, maybe he wouldn't have gotten that contract, or he wouldn't be the same with his injuries.
Hey, let me tell you a story. You guys got some time for a story?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Please do.
Okay. Check this out. So because of the Buccaneers, and you know about the structure, so there's 53 in the roster plus some, I don't know what they call them, practice squad guys, right? Mm-hmm. So, there's a whole bunch of guys in there. And when you look at the medical side, you have the ortho, you have the family doctor, you've got a team with the medical side. But then when you go hands-on, athletic trainers. So there's probably like really three 3 to 4 athletic trainers, and then there's going to be some like student athletic trainers that are doing their internship from a college and doing volunteer work. So total, maybe like, real expert people, hands-on, probably like maybe 3, 4 the most. Wow. So because of that, the ratio is not good to take care of these specialized injuries. And that's where they brought me on there. So I do my typical chiropractic, but I'm also ART certified. And then, that's an active release technique, and that's a soft tissue mobilization. So that I look at the structure around the joint, not so much the joint itself. So because athletes are all about like symmetry and getting that proper biomechanics in the joint, I would tune in and I can really look at the more complex case, and I knew like the path that they should take to get them back. So I had this one guy, I don't want to say names, but I had this one guy. So they brought him from somewhere else, and it was his first year contract, big guy, big lineman. And then all of a sudden he had this disc issue. So it was going down his leg, and then, neuropathy, and they had a thing called like a drop foot, right? The foot, there's not responding. There's a nerve that's not allowing the muscle to come up. So he was concerned about it. He had to do surgery. Now, they thought that doing the surgery, he's going to be back in time to get into the camp and start the season. Well, believe it or not, they do this nerve conduction test, and it came out non-function, 0. There's no nerve. So it was pretty much a dead nerve. So now you take this guy first. He's not even really into his, he's barely into his first year contract of his 4 or 5 years. It's a lot of money. And they're like, oh my God, is this a bust? So with that, I got this guy, right? So with him, I knew that there's a possibility that it might not do well, but I know what I need to do. So the whole therapy was an everyday procedure of a multiple like rounds of the special type of ART, floss the nerve, really use a class 4 laser to energize that tissue, to vasodilate, and do all kinds of special things there. So during the season, he started coming into the office, and you can see it. He has no type of muscle action in that foot, and it's classic, right? So that nerve going down the leg has caused the low back. So we were working over and over again. Now think about what he's going through. He's thinking this is a season-ending injury. This is not even a season, probably right. Career-ending, right?
Career, so yeah, now, exactly, even more.
Yeah, so he's freaking out. So I'm always getting, questions from the front office, the medical staff. How's he doing? I said, he's doing good. And we're progressing. We started hitting these landmarks meaning that, he's able to stand on his one leg. Now he's able to do a little bit of action with his foot. Now he's able to do more. So as we progress more and more, he's getting more excited. Now he's able to do things. Now he's able to actually get off the ground with that one leg. Now we're starting to progress more. Now we're starting to simulate some aggressive stuff. Now we're in the field doing some runs. Now this process, believe it or not, is a long process every day. If you take this patient as a civilian, it'll probably cost a normal person a lot of money, because I'm with him 4 or 5 hours a day, just working on him, just on that action of that nerve. So as the season progresses, the team's asking me, how's he doing? And I give him, the typical notes and stuff like that, how's he progressing? So at the very end, I'm thinking that he's doing great. So the final test is that nerve conduction test. We're going to find out if it's, from a dead nerve, and see how much progression he got. He took the test, 100%. He got it all back. Now he's ecstatic. Wife, the whole family come over there, give me a hug. They're all crying, goes, "Oh my God, you saved my career." Which I did, because think about it. If they would have just, stayed the course of action, just let them go with the ice and stem or something, that would have been it. There would have been no type of recourse, because the nerve is not there. So with that, he continued on playing for the team. Then he moved to another team, and he had probably maybe 5, 6 more years of football in the NFL world. So he made a career out of it. So I think that's the best. That's the best thing that came out of one of the most complicating cases that I had with an athlete that had findings before and after. That was pretty neat. Yeah,
man. I mean, dude, the guy is probably thinking, like you said, his career's over. Like his life just went in shambles when it came to the love of football. And next thing you know, after working a whole season with him, you rejuvenated his life, and it's not even just affecting him, his family, his friends, and look, he played 4 to 6 years more.
Hey, what I was thinking, because I'm thinking the emotion, the whole family, everybody, right? Emotion, and I'm thinking to myself, he goes, "Hey, I got a surprise for you." He goes, "Oh, he's gonna pull up with maybe a Lamborghini. He's gonna give me something, right? He's gonna give me the signing bonus. He's gonna give me something." Awesome. Man, he gave me some cool gift. It was cool, but I'm like,
you get a solid look.
I want to be one of those things that people hear about. Boom, 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 boom. That's yours.
That would have been awesome.
Orange and all that.
Yeah, it's amazing too that you're actually coming on this time too. Unfortunately, our other co-host Brandon, he actually works for the Bucks as well. He does camera work for the Tampa Bay Bucks as well, and he's like a diehard fan. So we told him that you're coming on. He had something come up, and he's like, "I'm so pissed the one time an actual guy with the Bucks that's coming on here that can actually do that." So that is quite amazing though that you're able to redo that.
Yeah, and ask how long has Brandon worked there?
2-3 years or so, something like that.
Yeah, I think so, around there.
Yeah, I was there 15, 18, so he's probably done.
Oh, okay. Okay. I don't think he was there at that. He's there with them currently.
Yeah.
So the last thing for me that I wanted to ask you, because this conversation really comes up almost every year now for, I would say, the last 6-7 years when it comes to football. The turf fields compared to the grass fields when it comes to the Achilles tendon. How proactive can we be towards the future to try to eliminate these turf fields? Like, does it really cause such an injury to the Achilles tendon? You know, you knowing all the knowledge that you have when it comes to the medicine world and all that. Is there a way that we can just still play on turf and not get Achilles tendon injuries, or do we need to move past that and just go straight grass for all these fields?
Yeah, it's gotta be grass. Think about the amount of force. Now these guys are bigger and faster, and then just that connection between the force of their legs and their calf muscle, and then the ground think about a grass. A grass gives a little bit, right? So the slipper it is, you get you get that tension off of that tendon. When you have no release of that foot placement, then you got that calf and the thigh muscle and everything that's trying to drive it out. You're trying to tear something's got to give. So typically what gives is the weakest point, and that's Achilles point. So you think about it, it's not just the field in the game, it's also the practice. So the practice needs to have that ability. And the tough thing with a lot of these pro teams, they have an indoor facility, and that's turf. So they may not have the injury during the the practice, but you may during the game, but they have it like accumulate during practice in the indoor facility on the turf field. And then when they go in the field, it pops out because you're giving that more extra effort. So I always say that it's tough right now because they're looking at the future athlete right now. And these guys are getting bigger, stronger, faster. And, when you start doing the thing called overtraining, you can get that kind of, that movement and that activity in the body, but you don't have the ability to like regenerate and heal tissue because you may push yourself too much and not give it the chance to recover. So I always say that, do everything you can to do the preventative stuff, do the prehab and everything you can conserve that tissue, stem cell therapy, everything, but also apply the field world in both the practice and the game world.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they do and they get rid of them.
Piggybacking off what George was saying as well is that last year, I believe it was, or maybe 2 years ago, there was a string of Achilles in the NBA. Is there anything that the NBA could possibly do to change the court, you think, or anything? Or was it just a fluke thing that was the year of the Achilles?
That's a good one right there. When I have Achilles issue in this office, I look at both both structures of not only of so the Achilles is basically a tendon that attaches these muscles called the calf muscle, the gastroc and the soleus, right? These big muscles, the calf muscles, they attach to that little area with a tendon right behind the ankle, right? And it connects to the heel bone. Well, if you continue on to the heel bone, they call it the calcaneus, and it continues on, it turns into what they call the plantar fascia. So when I have people that have Achilles issue, more than likely they have something going on with the arch of the foot. So I look at the heel bone as like a kneecap. It has to float back and forth a little bit. So if the arch of the foot is too tight, it pulls the heel down more, and then it lengthens the tendon more. You've got to have a looser type of, that bottom of your foot, the plantar fascia, so the heel bone can flex a little bit, move up towards the Achilles tendon so it shortens. So when I hear about NBA guys, you think about this jumping event. It's about the calf muscle, tendon, and the fascia. You've got to work all that entire kinetic chain. So maybe sometimes they think they're doing a good job with their Achilles tendons. They're not really addressing the plantar fascia at the same time. So it takes the tension off that whole area. So maybe after that particular wave of people that are going through that little Achilles tendonitis, maybe they learn that, hey, we need to work on that fascia at the bottom of the foot too.
Yeah, I just was in a walk-in boot a couple of weeks ago, so I got an MRI. They said I had an ART issue, I guess, or something with my my ankle / Achilles. So I thought it was gonna be a lot worse, but a little bit of a boot action, I was all right, and it's getting a little bit better, but it's still been a healing thing. So I'm with you on that, man. Any kind of prehab can probably do a lot better.
Yeah, 100%.
You got anything else? Do you want to promote or anything like that? Push. Where can people get a hold of you, and what's your website, and where can you find your book?
Yeah, well, you can find my book on Amazon. You see the title of the book, The Future of Regenerative Medicine. Just type in my last name, Rhee, and it should pop up, and you can get that book. And then you can also go on my website, which is Regen, RHEEGEN.com. And you can learn everything about the topical stem cell cream that I have. Same as the injectable without the downtime, and great for people in the move and don't want the downtime, right? And the cost is a lot better. And the neat thing about that is that if you have questions, hit that info button, ask me a question.
Fantastic,
nice.
man. Fantastic. Mr. Tommy, Dr. Rhee, I'm excited for that you came on the show. I'm really, really happy that you came on, man. This has been a lot of fun for us. Honestly, it's inspiration for me, being an FDC or military as well. I originally went to UCF to go get my exercise science degree, went a little bit different direction, went into broadcasting, whatever. So I feel like I was trying to vicariously do your path, but you definitely did a hell of a lot better than I did. So appreciate you coming on the show, my friend.
Hey, man, thank you very much, man. I'm enjoying this, special weekend we got going on this week, I think. So let's see what happens with this, the Patriots, right?
You got
a prediction?
I didn't want to put you on the spot since you're working with the Bucks and everything, but do you have a pick or anything you want to get out there?
I think it's going to be one of those upsets. You're going to see the Patriots come through.
Okay.
There we go. I like it.
I don't know, man. I'm an underdog guy,
Yeah.
The doc says it's true, my friend. All right, Mr. Doctor. So, you would love it. We'd love it if we got any kind of injuries, if you would want to come back on the show, and come on, have a spot, and we can talk some injuries and just promote whatever you got going on, because we love everything you got going on, my friend. So, really appreciate you coming on the show for us.
Hey, man, anytime, man. I love this thing. Throw it to me. Let's go.
Yeah. Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, man. It's very nice coming. I very appreciate you coming on, my friend. We will get a hold of you very soon to have you coming back on. Maybe even after the Super Bowl or something, man. We appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Take care, guys.
Have a good night, man.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Tommy Rhee, what a great guy, man. That was awesome having him come on, talk some injury with us, and it's so much interesting stuff that he had, man. We've had the last couple of weeks, we've had so many great guests coming on and just dropping knowledge on us on how to get the lab, get your body ready to go and everything. So
hey, we're a sports podcast and an educational podcast at the same time.
Absolutely, man. You can get your knowledge and get some good sports talk in here. But all right, well, we can go ahead and let's go ahead and jump to the major news of the day, and that was the NBA trade deadline.
It's from the hardwood with VFTS.
Ooh.
Yeah, we definitely had some major moves going on today in the NBA trade deadline. Officially comes to a close, and we definitely had some big ones. Mr. G, Mike, how about you lead us off here? What was your biggest shocker? What you expected to happen? What do you got going on?
The shocker, man. I don't know if I have a shocker, but what I did like was what the Washington Wizards did, man. They first acquired Trae Young. They got basically just 2 picks for Trae Young, and then out of nowhere, they go and get Anthony Davis to pair him up next to him. That trade was pretty damn awesome. They sent away Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malik Brahman, Marvin Bagley III, 2 future first-round picks, 3 future second-round picks, and in return they get Anthony Davis, Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, which seems to be like D'Angelo Russell is going to any team that Anthony Davis goes to. I don't know what the hell is wrong with that. And Dante Exum. I think Washington really won this trade, man. D'Lo, yeah, he's very inconsistent at times, but he can do work from time to time. Dante Exum was a guy who thought he was going to come out and be a straight shooter, put up points, at least 15 points per game. Maybe the Wizards can turn him into that. But I think it has to do with a lot of coaching. So that might be just a wasteful pickup there. But Anthony Davis, of course, man, you pair him next to Trae Young, where Trae Young loves to give assists, obviously score at will as well. Let's see, man. If they're able to play together this season, I think they can make a play-in spot. But I think the Wizards are going to try to sit out Anthony Davis for sure. Maybe Trae Young is only going to be playing a certain amount of games, and they'll wait till next season to try to actually get this train rolling in Washington.
Well, I'm going to go in the opposite direction of it, and obviously I'm a Mavs fan, and it's just at this point in time now we are literally looking at like we basically got rid of Luka Doncic for free pretty much and gotten not much back in return for it. I mean, for Anthony Davis, all of those picks, everything that was included in that trade, that should have been a Luka style trade. You should have got multiple picks, and instead you ended up with Christie. You ended up with, I believe they only had like one first round pick, if they even got that, and like a second, and Anthony Davis, who basically played about 15 games for the Mavs, somewhere in there. So essentially, when this is all said and done, Dallas got rid of Luka Doncic for essentially nothing. Now you can say that, but it also worked out in their favor that they ended up getting Cooper Flagg, which I think is the real deal. And it's going to be interesting to see him going forward, so they can maybe start rebuilding around Cooper Flagg, which seems like a pretty good team player. But it's interesting also what Washington did in this situation is because they also have their other big guy, and Scar, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, the French guy that came out a couple of years ago that was like their number one pick. So now they're almost going to run the same thing that Dallas was trying to do with Kyrie, Anthony Davis, and Cooper Flagg whenever he was there. They're going to have Trae Young, the guard, and have two bigger guys. It's going to be interesting to see how it works out for him. It would have been nice to see Anthony Davis at full strength with Cooper Flagg, and then maybe when Kyrie came back. As a Mavs fan, that would have been kind of cool to really see. It just never really got a chance to come to fruition. So I'm really disappointed in what happened in that situation and how it all played out, especially that we basically rented Anthony Davis for one good game, the first game he played, and then he got hurt in that process too. And instead, you got rid of your star player who the fans are still pissed that he's not there and is balling out of his mind for the Lakers. I do like the fact we got Cooper Flagg, and I think you can build around Cooper Flagg a lot more than you can build around Luka Doncic. But ergo, you just don't necessarily give up that guy for him. So that's what hurts the most out of it. I think Washington is trying to make some moves besides being, we were joking off the air, a purgatory franchise because they haven't been relevant in years and years. So they're trying to make some moves and trying to do that. The rumor was that they were making these moves, trying to show that to Trae Young that we are serious about trying to go for it maybe next year. So it was good for them that they made these moves. I'm not 100% sure how this is going to work out for Washington. Considering that they haven't been that good for that long, it'd be good for them. It'd be nice to see them kind of rebuild off this thing. But having Anthony Davis, who's constantly hurt, and Trae Young, who I don't know. I just don't see him being the answer to your winning problems, if you will. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that one?
I think it's a recipe for success, man. I mean, if Trae Young sits and Anthony Davis sit, that means that they're not going to probably make a playing spot. So that means that they'll probably have a top 10 pick in the draft. They get a top 10 pick in the draft, where this year's draft is very, very good, man. They could get a great, decent pick to pair up, next to Trae Young, Anthony Davis, Alexander Sarr. I mean, Keyshawn George is pretty good too. You bring in another guard that can score at will, or a dude to come off the bench that could be a sixth man to score at will and run the offense as well, just like Trae Young, man. It's a good recipe for success, especially in the East. In the East, it's not like every single team is disgusting. It's only a few teams up there that that can really fight for a championship banner, but. I don't know, man. I like their chances on how they're moving forward. Trae Young and Anthony Davis are great pieces to start off. Alexander Sarr, he's an up and comer, and he really puts in a lot of effort to try to be great. I think he can be. Having another top 10 pick in the draft this season that can just help them even more. I like the chance of the Wizards going from very sucky to almost at least decent in the East.
Play-in level at least. Pretty much after this.
Sixth spot. Who knows? It depends. It depends on these other teams match up. But one thing I would agree with you, man, like how you said with the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, dude, you don't trade a generational talent, and they got to learn, just like the Milwaukee Bucks did, and they didn't give away Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they stayed with him. Who knows? They're saying that they're not going to trade him. Obviously, the NBA trade deadline just passed, but they're not going to trade him into the summer, most likely. That's what they say. But they're going to try to build around him, which would be the smart thing to do. This is a generational talent. Why would you give up this piece to go and try to get so many damn picks in return that you don't know if they're going to pan out when you got a player sitting right in front of you that is at his peak at 31, 32 years old who can basically do it all unless he learns to get a good three-point shot. He basically knows how to do it all, and you build around him. Don't give him away, just like the Dallas Mavericks did with Luka Doncic, and try to build on top of that. No, you build around it.
Yeah, and so I mean, I will take the my humble brag lap over here real quick. That I predicted that one. I didn't think that Giannis was going to move. I thought that he was going to stick around in Milwaukee, and I didn't think Milwaukee was really going to pull the trigger on this either, unless they got blown away by some offers, and it didn't seem like they really did. With Giannis, I think he kind of wants to stay in Milwaukee, and that's been my stance on this the whole time. I don't think he wants to necessarily leave. I think he just wants to put the pressure on them that, hey, we need to rebuild this team. And unfortunately for them, they tried. They just had the guys. They basically, Milwaukee to me just got old overnight. They had Chris Middleton at that time. Chris Middleton was kind of older at that point, got injured, moved on. Now he's kind of now he's with the Dallas Mavericks, ironically. But having said that, when they got Lillard. Lillard was past his Dame time, you know. So
Dame time. He's
thank you for entendre there or something, you know. That's a Times Square, I guess. But having said that, though, they just got way too old. Brook Lopez was old, and so I think that for this to actually work, that they're going to have to really lure some free agents and show to Giannis, because my thought was that this is going to happen. It'll be next trade deadline next year. I didn't think he was going to go this year, especially with the injury, and I just didn't think it was going to happen. Now I can see this happening next year, and then Milwaukee will just be in a really bad spot because he is eligible an unrestricted free agent in 2027, I believe it is, if he opts out of his contract. So that one's going to be an interesting one to see what they are able to do with it. Would you trade Giannis if you know that he's not going to resign? I mean, you have to at this point, right? Like, you have. What would you do as the GM, Mr. G Mike?
Yeah, if he plans to not resign, but yeah, definitely I would trade him 100%. You got to get assets in return for a player like this. If he decides that he doesn't want to resign and he's just going to sign somewhere else in free agency, definitely you got to trade him and get some assets in return. But he's saying that he wants to stay. He wants to be a Milwaukee Buck for the rest of his career. So what you do is build around him. Like I'm saying, like, you got to bring in shooters. You got to bring some perimeter defensive players. You got to bring in one big or two, which they have Miles Turner. I think Miles Turner is good. Now bring him another backup big that could be behind Miles Turner and Bobby Portis. You know what I'm saying? Like a younger one. Maybe use it for their draft pick. But you got to bring in some perimeter defenders. You got to bring some perimeter shooters. And you got to bring in a point guard that can facilitate and run the floor as a floor general out there. So Giannis doesn't have to be doing that. What Giannis could just play the way that he plays, attacking the rim, dishing out when the defense collapses on him, and he gives it to his shooters and stuff like that. But if a player is saying that he wants to stay there, he wants you guys to build around him and make the team better, you need to do all you can do, put 110% effort into doing it.
Yeah, especially in a league that's all about me, and he's basically playing the I want to stay here, the Dirk role, if you will. You know, one of those guys that I'm loyal to this team. I want to be the reason that we're good and we can continue to win. So I agree. I think they're going to have to make some splashy moves to keep him around, because he still can be. I believe it is going to be an unrestricted free agent. Which, if that's the case, worst case scenario for them is they'll lose out on that generational talent. There's also. Go ahead.
I was just going to mention, because this goes up to the next guy that I'm going to bring up right now, because the Milwaukee Bucks are trying to trade for him, which is John Morant. If the Milwaukee Bucks would have traded for John Morant, I think that would have put them in contention to try to get to the second round of the playoffs. I don't think they make the Eastern Conference Finals, because I think, there's another trade that we're going to bring up in a little bit with the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks, and Detroit Pistons. I think those three teams right there in the East are going to be tough to beat, especially in Milwaukee, without having the shooters around them. But if they would have gotten John Morant from the Memphis Grizzlies, I think it would have been a great floor general for them to be out there and try to mitigate the offense as much as possible when Giannis is not on the floor and when Giannis is not mitigating.
Yeah, not Durant, sorry, John Morant sticking around in Memphis. That one was a kind of confusing one. He's had ever since all the troubles that he's had in Memphis. He's also like they seem like they've kind of given up on him in a weird way. He's still a young kid. He's very young. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head exactly how old, but he's definitely a young talent. I think that he needs supporting cast around him. And I think he's grown up a lot this season, but he's also still had some issues with Memphis. And I don't know. I am surprised that he stuck around. Giannis, I didn't expect it to leave. I cannot say it right here. John Morant.
Morant.
Jeez.
Lift teeth, tongue cheeks. Lift teeth, tongue cheeks.
Jesus, So anywho, I expected him to be on the move, though. I just think that I think they both need a fresh start. I think that they expected him to be the star franchise player, and I think that he went through some growing pains, and he wasn't ready for that. And I think they were ready to move on from him, but I'm guessing they probably didn't get too much offers.
Supposedly, they didn't get no offer for a first-round pick. And this is what I wanted to ask you, because it's crazy to me that no team offered a first-round pick for him. But do you believe he is worth not only a first-round pick, it's going to be 2 or 3 picks, but do you think he's worth a first-round pick?
I would say 1. I wouldn't do multiple years.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
I could see a 1, but way down the line. I could see maybe that more of like the packaging to second round picks for him, but I think a lot of it just you're cutting the baggage with Morant. So I think that's the part of the problem. If he didn't have all those issues prior to this going into it, I think it would have been a hell of a lot easier of a sell to get higher picks. But you're also getting a guy that's all of a sudden on top of all the suspension stuff was also having injury issues as well. So with Morant, he has all the talent in there in the world. It's just putting it all together. And whenever that actually does kind of come together, I think he'll get back to that, bright star in the league that everybody was infatuated with. But I think that's part of the problem why he couldn't get that is they couldn't get that. It's just because they feel baggage and all the extra stuff that's going to come with taking on that player.
No, that's exactly what it is, because his skill set is up there. He can easily be an all-star if it's not for his injury problems, if it's not for that off-the-field drama stuff that he comes with. But, man, like, the skill set is there, bro. The skill set is there. So the dude needs to just learn to really keep his mouth shut sometimes. Like, just go out there and play. Like, I really feel like he's just taking a lot of this for granted, man. And it's going to slap him in the face if a team doesn't want to trade for him, because the Grizzlies are not going to re-sign him. And maybe there'll be a team out there that will give him a contract that he wants. Like, maybe like a 2-3 year deal. But if he doesn't fix the attitude problem and off the court drama, man, I don't know, man. I don't see a lot of teams being like, you know what, we're going to take this guy on and we're going to give this team a first-round draft pick with 2 other picks or maybe another player. Like, we're just going to wait till his contract literally gets done, and we'll see where he wants to go inside.
Yeah, I wish he could have been around him as a great Popovich or back in the Spurs, back in the the Duncan and Ginobili, those guys and stuff like that. That real team chemistry, and they all understood the basketball side of it and stuff. And I feel like that he hasn't really had that much of a cast around him per se that's been anything like that, and since he's been in Memphis, really. So being young, having all the star power, everything is all look at me stuff now with all the social media and all that stuff. I think that it was just a bad start for him, because I don't know if you've ever seen any of his college or even early college pictures stuff. He was kind of not this guy looking at all. He had glasses and he was totally different. But then he got a little bit of star power, I feel like, and realized, put on some highlight reel stuff, and now he's super famous, and that might have gone to his head a little bit. So I agree. I think that
a little bit.
I was trying to be
a lot of it.
I think I was going to be fair
man.
to
You
him,
gotta call a spade, man. This kid is throwing his basketball career in the gutter, man. And a lot of people would kill to have the power, the position, the money, the skill set that he has right now, man. And he's just throwing it away in the trash, dude.
Yeah, I agree. Well, you brought it up already, so we can go ahead and talk about this one as well. This was an interesting trade here with the involving the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Los Angeles Clippers. You got Darius Garland heading over to the Los Angeles Clippers, and James Harden heading back east.
I think this was the surprising one.
Go ahead.
To answer your question from before, I think that this one was a surprising one.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of rumors for the last year and a half or so, something like that, even going back to last year, that Garland necessarily wasn't happy in Cleveland. As much as they wanted to do the core four thing, I don't think that role really fit him out as much as he wanted. And I think this deal would probably got done a lot earlier had Garland not been hurt this season. It's an interesting move, and I know you were really excited about this move. I don't know if I'm that as excited about bringing James Harden over there. Granted, he'll be able to take some of the load off of Mitchell to be to not have to be a predominant ball handler, and I think Mitchell will be able to run around a lot more and to utilize the skill a little bit more instead of being a primary ball handler. I just don't know if James Harden is the answer for what Cleveland has needed to get over the top. I don't believe in Harden.
So it's not necessarily that I'm super excited for this because I don't really care about the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? I am a James Harden fan. I am a Donovan Mitchell fan. But just for being a fan of basketball, I really feel like this trade is something that James Harden needed and the Cleveland Cavaliers, like you mentioned earlier. Donovan Mitchell doesn't have to be a primary ball handler. He doesn't need to come down the court and set up the plays anymore, while James Harden can do that. Because if you really watch Donovan Mitchell's game, he's like Dwayne Wade back in 06 to 09. He grabs the rock and he's looking to score. Either obviously a better three-point shooter than Wade was, but he's trying to get to the basket. He'll fade away. He'll shoot the three. He'll go in to try to create contact on a layup and a dunk and try to go to the free throw line. Now with James Harden, he primarily just has to focus on obviously playing defense and just scoring the rock. James Harden will focus on running the floor. Yo, you're going to come here. I'm going to get you to your spot. All right. I'm going to dish like 11, 12 assists a game. I'm going to get Evan Mobley involved. Jared Allen. Imagine the pick and roll with Jared Allen and James Harden. Anytime that Jared Allen scores 20 points and grabs 10 rebounds, the Cleveland Cavaliers are like 20-3, something like that. And if you got a floor general that can run your offense for you when you were primarily doing it with a two guard who's always just looking to score and not trying to run the offense, it just takes so much pressure off of everybody else on offense that they don't have to worry about that, and they go out there and do what they do while you got a coach on the floor that's going to mitigate everything.
Yeah, I'm with you on it. I would have honestly, now this one kind of surprised me, especially that it's been out there for a little while with Garland being possibly on the trade block and in his words and trying to get out of there as well. We were just talking about Giannis a little bit ago. This would to me would have been a better move for the Bucks to maybe invest in to get Garland. That would have been what I think they were trying to do with the Dame thing and get someone that can handle the ball and let Giannis be more of a floor be able to space the floor a little bit differently. So I am kind of surprised that the Clippers made the move opposed to maybe like a Bucks. Like I think I would have been a lot more excited for the East if Garland maybe went to the Bucks. Looking at the roster, I'm not sure what they would have been able to give up. They don't have much to give up besides draft picks, in which, this was a pretty even swap here. It was player for player and a second round pick from the Clippers. So I'm just surprised in this one. I think it's going to benefit the Clippers a lot more than it's going to benefit Cleveland. I think Garland's going to thrive in for the Clippers, and I think that they're going to be able to make a little bit of a run. I just don't believe that Harden is Cleveland. I just don't think it's going to gel very well because he's going to be so ball dominant still at this point in career. He can assist. Don't get me wrong. He can put up some numbers, put up his points and stuff. I just don't know how this is going to gel with a player like Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, and for the Clippers side, like I don't even think this is gonna work for the Clippers, regardless, in my opinion, because
No,
like
no.
Garland is very inconsistent when it comes to trying to run the offense, and that's what the Clippers really need right now at this point. I mean, they got no one now who's gonna run that offense. Kawhi Leonard loves to play with a point guard that loves to run the offense. If Garland goes in there and he plays the way that he was trying to play with Donovan Mitchell, we're trying to go bucket for bucket, even though he was more consistent than Donovan Mitchell, it's not going to really work for the Clippers, and especially in the deep West.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I like their roster that they have. I think that it's gonna in the long run. I think this will work out better for the Clippers, especially Kawhi's been playing pretty well this season or whatever. So it's gonna be an interesting one to see how this plays out. You know, we're halfway through, and it's gonna be ramping up the NBA season as well very soon. There was another couple trades you want to talk about. I know these ones were the big ones here. You got anything else you're interested in with the trade deadline?
The only one that I want to bring up is the Jaren Jackson Jr. one. Like, that trade was insane. How many people it was involved? It was Jaren Jackson Jr., Jock Lando, John Concord, Vince Williams Jr. going to Utah, while Memphis is getting your boy Walter Clayton Jr. from the Gators, Kyle Anderson, Tyler Hendricks, George Niang, and 3 future first-round picks from the Utah Jazz. And I just want to say, man, Utah Jazz, you guys don't really care about your picks, man, because you guys did whatever you did with the Timberwolves, and then now you're giving away the picks to Memphis for Jaren Jackson Jr., where it's gonna work out well. I feel with Larry Marketing, Keontae George, he's been playing incredible this season, and they got a very tall team. I think like their 4 bigs go from 6'10" to 7'2", and both Larry Marketing and Jaren Jackson Jr., they can play ball well on the offensive side as well as the defensive side. I think it could play really well for them in the upcoming years. I don't think this year. I don't think the next year. Maybe in year 3 when they're all together, maybe they could start making some noise in the West. But dude, what a trade, bro! You got freaking 13 people involved in this trade, essentially, with the first round picks.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's going to give Walter Clayton some time to shine as well. I was really excited for him coming out of Florida, especially at that national championship performance. This was just a huge trade all around. I think it's going to be interesting for both sides how they're going to play this out. It's a lot of moving parts, and we'll see how it goes. Because, like you were saying too, that Utah is not necessarily concerned with picks, I suppose.
Nah, yeah, they're just giving them away like candy.
All right, so I guess I had to look at this just to make sure, but my most shocking one that I found was Eric Gordon got traded. You realize Eric Gordon is still in the league?
17 years, bro. 17
Eric
years.
Gordon is still in the league, man.
That's
Kudos to
crazy.
him for still being on in there. He was he was 2008 round 1 7 pick by the Clippers. He was Eric Gordon, man. Sometimes if you got it, you got it, man. That's awesome.
Man.
He's still in the league, but I saw
They
that.
shoot it from the corner, baby. Blah.
I legit had to like click on it to make sure it's the same Eric Gordon. Maybe it's not his son or something like that, but it is. Eric Gordon is still getting traded in this league, man. So if you can shoot, you got a chance.
100%. If you could shoot the ball and be a specialist, and you could play a little bit of defense, you're in there, buddy.
Yeah, you got a chance. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump from the hardwood to the big game itself, and that is time for Super Bowl 60. It is between the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. This one's going to be a very interesting game. The over-under right now is 46.5. And right now, ESPN has Seattle at a 60.7% chance as a matchup predictor. For this game right here. The odds are odds Seattle up 4.5 points. They both finished New England finished at 17-3. Seattle's at 16-3. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting game, buddy. There's so many different dynamics to this game. What's your thoughts and how are you feeling about this one?
I think it's going to be a very fun game to watch for sure. I mean, the halftime show is going to be dope with the boy Bat Bunny. I think it's going to be sick. Just for the game itself, the Patriots are going to have to come to score, man. They can't be playing the way they did the last 2 rounds and not primarily putting up points. I know last round, it was a very snowy game and they played one of the top defenses in the league, but the last 4 matchups or last 3 matchups, they've been playing high level defenses and they've been coming out to win. So, it could favor their way, but man, Seattle, Sam Darnold, again, I apologize for the way that I've been treating you all season because you have been playing great and I have been discarding your name, bro, because you've been throwing the damn TDs to JSN. You guys been shining out there. Kenneth Walker doing good. It sucks that Champernay is not going to probably play in this game because of his injury. No, he is not playing in this game. He's out for the whole playoffs. That is right. Their offense is looking great, man. I think they will put up at least 30 points this game. Even though New England's defense has been great, the defensive line has been getting to the quarterback, pressuring them a lot, getting a lot of sacks. But again, if New England's offense does not come to play when it comes to scoring touchdowns, they're going to have a long day against the Seattle defense. And then on the other side of the ball, the Seattle offense, because I feel like they're going to be scoring a lot.
I've been the Sam Darnold truther on the show for sure. I've been on him since Minnesota. I just think this is where it's going to come to an end for them now. I was really high on Seattle going into the playoffs, coming into this, and we were just talking about it. And I'm just looking over some of the numbers on here, and I'm just leaning towards New England in this. I think that Sam Darnold, although he's been having an amazing season and it deserves all the accolades and all the praise that he's been getting, I just like what New England's been able to do. They've been underdogs just like Seattle has the entire year. No one expected New England to be in this spot at all. And I think going into this, I think they have the right head coach, and Vrabel's going to be able to keep that fire going underneath them that no one expected us to be here. No one expects us to win anything. So I hate it as a Colts fan rooting for our picking New England to win this game. It makes me so irritated. But I just feel like I think Drake May is onto something right now. The weather's not really going to be an issue, and both guys can sling the ball. Drake May looks amazing for as young as he is, and Sam Darnold deserves every bit of praise that he's been getting this whole entire year. JSN is outstanding, and I think he's only going to be on the rise. I believe I'm going to hand it to New England with the running game in this one. I think with Stevenson and Henderson, I think they're going to have a little bit better with just Ken Walker. Ken Walker has one of those explosive tendencies to where if you can stop him, then stop him right away, he's not going to do as much. But if you give him any kind of breakaway, that man is gone. So I'm going to lean towards New England in the running game in this one. Now, if you go to special teams, I'm going to go Seattle in this one. I think Shaheed is amazing at what he's doing out there, and even catching passes as well. But he's doing great with their running back against San Francisco, first play of the game. But it's a coin toss for me, really. I think this game is going to be a lot of fun. I think both defenses are going to come up to play. I don't know why. I'm just feeling for the underdog at this point, but I'm going to take New England to win the Super Bowl. I can't believe I said that out loud.
Seattle by 3, baby. Seattle by 3.
Ah, man, that kills me even say that. All right, we're going to close this out tonight with our Down Bad Debate.
It's time for the Downbad Debate.
All right, man, we're sticking with the Super Bowl theme here. This one is going to be the best QB to never win a Super Bowl. We got a few different choices up here. Dan Marino, Donovan McNabb, Phillip Rivers, Jim Kelly, Matt Ryan, Steve McNair, Fran Tarkington, and Warren Moon. Or do you have the option of other? G-Mike, why don't you go ahead and go first up here, my man?
This one's tough for me, man. I feel like there's 2 quarterbacks just at the top of the list for this best quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. I think they're both prolific, and one had more chances than the other to actually win a Super Bowl, but one was just a gunslinger, crazy accurate. The firepower in his arm was insane. If he were playing in today's quarterback era, I think he would be chopping up the numbers on any quarterback, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, anybody right now. But I'm going to go with Dan Marino, man. I think, like, he was just an inspirational quarterback. A lot of people look to him when it comes to passing touchdowns and passing yards, man. And again, he was a gunslinger, very accurate, and he was getting to the ball to his guys like on the money. But my second choice, I'm gonna let you go first, and then I'll explain what my choice.
That's what I was about to say. I think personally, I think we both agree. I think the any sports guy is gonna, any NFL guy is gonna go. It's Dan Marino. I think that one's pretty. I don't know. I don't think that anybody's really gonna argue with that one. So why don't we go with number 2 in this situation? Because I think that's where it gets a little bit more tricky. I think Dan Marino, we both agree, hands down, is the best quarterback to never win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. So Donovan McNabb definitely has high praise. You know, he was doing great for the Eagles, and obviously you go up against a New England Patriots, Tom Brady-led offense and defense. It's going to be tough to take him off the throne and take him out of there. I think Matt Ryan did amazing work as well in that Super Bowl that he played against the Patriots. But again, Tom Brady at the realm of that one. Phillip Rivers did a lot of stuff too in his Chargers days. Really couldn't get the Chargers to the playoffs as many times as he wanted to. But I think for me, man, it would be Jim Kelly, bro, because of the fact that he went to 4 Super Bowls straight in a row and couldn't get it done, man, is very heartbreaking, very disappointing for Buffalo Bills fans, 100%. But if you're a quarterback and you get your offense and your team to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row, that says something, man. That says
damn, this sucks, because I was hoping you weren't going to do this because we're not agreeing again. But I'm gonna go with you as well. I think it's Jim Kelly, man. You nailed it on the head. 4 in a row, and you couldn't get it done. Not necessarily his fault in all 4 of those or anything. Just wasn't in the cards for him. I agree. I think McNabb should kind of gets forgotten about a lot sometimes. I feel like when you go on pantheons of great quarterbacks, he was in his heyday was amazing. Matt Ryan had an MVP season, I believe that was that year, and couldn't get it done. Yeah. But yeah, if I had to pick number 2 in this, I would go as well, Jim Kelly, man. I really thought we were going to disagree a little bit more in this one, but we did not, because great minds think alike, I suppose.
I mean, Steve McNair, you know, he has his high praise too, and rest in peace to the guy. Warren Moon definitely did a lot of work, but it's just a little bit different when you play in that era compared to the later eras, in my opinion, with the way that they throw the ball now to the receivers so much more than they did back in the day. That back in the day, it was primarily running the ball, and defense. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the fact that these quarterbacks now in that list were putting up more attempts, it's more impressive to me than it was relying on the running game the whole time, and then you're throwing like about 15 to 17 times a game compared to what they throw now, 30 to 35 times a game.
Yeah, it would be interesting to take some of these guys and just be able to transplant them. You know, you go to the NBA, go all these eras, debates, and all that stuff like that. It'd be fun just to be able to simulate and transplant them in. I agree with. I think Marino would kill in the league that we have now. I think he would absolutely destroy.
100%.
And I think that it's same thing with. I think that McNabb as well with the way they've been able to utilize the mobile quarterbacks and like the bigger quarterbacks. I think that have been interesting to be able to see as well. I mean, obviously Matt Ryan. And
you think?
Let's not forget Phillip Rivers still did play this season. So,
do you think that he would be a great replacement for Jalen Hurts right now for the Eagles?
Oh, wow. That's
I think so, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. Jalen Hurts went off on the 2 Super Bowls that he's played in, 100%. But when it comes throughout the year and the playoffs, bro, Donovan McNabb was going crazy almost every game, dude.
Isn't it kind of ironic too, the irony in the Eagles at that point in time? You have 2 bigger mobile quarterbacks. You got Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown, who has all those kinds of cryptic issues, and then you had T.O. with Donovan Mitchell, who had all those cryptic issues.
They didn't even have a good relationship, too.
Yeah, exactly. So, interesting scenario, man.
Crazy, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we hope you enjoy the Super Bowl this weekend. Don't forget to watch. It's going to be a lot of fun. Get with your friends, get with your family, enjoy yourself. We can push as much as we want. We should push the Super Bowl back one more week and make it President's Day weekend. I don't know why the hell they still haven't done it. It would have been everybody calls out the day after the Super Bowl. Maybe they don't like it that way. I don't know, but we've been trying to push for that for years. Having said that, view our views from the stands. This has been a great episode. We want to give a special thank you again to Dr. Tommy Rhee for coming on. check out the book. It was absolutely amazing talking to him, and we're definitely going to try and have him on some more and talk injury and recovery and see what we have going on with that. G-Mike, man, you got anything else for the people before we sign off?
Yeah, guys, please like, subscribe, share the show with your family and friends and anybody you know. When you're going to go to the Super Bowl watch party, let them know in the stands is the show that you want to watch and listen to, even when it comes to sports podcasts. So please look at our social medias. We got Instagram, we got TikTok, we got now a brand new Twitter that we still got to fix up and everything. But if you could give us a follow there, that would be awesome. We're on iHeartRadio, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, obviously, if you watch it. Please, on all those, let us know. Amazon Music, let's get paid.
And one last little plug we have coming, and it is definitely in the works and is still a long way from being complete, but we officially have a website. It's not ready to go. We just purchased it on Monday, so we and Mr. G, Mike, and BC are going to be putting our own thoughts, putting our own style, put our own twist on it. But it's going to be vfts.net. Easy for you guys. Views from the stands, VFTS. So we'll be announcing that a lot more when it gets closer to the time, but we'll be able to stream, and we also will have a Shopify shop where you can purchase merch and be a part of the show even more than you already are, in which we really truly appreciate all the stuff you do for us and continue to watch. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Be safe, and we will see you guys next week post Super Bowl. Peace.